All right. Welcome to another Games Talk Live, everybody. Welcome. Let me know if my audio and video is way out of sync like it was the last 2 weeks at the start. I don't know. But you guys can let me know in the chat. Also, I've got a brand new guest. Well, first time guest to this show anyway. And we'll start with him right now. Samurai KBG. What's going on, man?
Yay! Welcome. Hello, everybody. Good to be here. First time on Fonz's channel here. After he and I have talked twice, we were just figuring it out before the stream. And it's good to see everybody. A2, Pong, Spidey, I see you guys in the chat. Thank you very much for being here. And, and Pong's both in here, too. So it's the first time talking with him. I just, read that chat. I was like, Pong. Wait a minute. That's our guest today. But yeah, it's good to be here. I'm very excited to chat about this world of gaming, and I finished a workout just before this, so I will be sipping my protein shake as we start.
Nice. And you know what? What have you been playing lately? Have you been playing anything?
Dude. Pikmin 4 is the game of my dreams.
Which one?
Pikmin 4.
Pikmin 4.
I just finished Pikmin 4 yesterday morning, to which, if people follow me, that, not Spider-Man 2, not even Starfield Echo, not Hogwarts Legacy, for some reason, Pikmin 4 was my most anticipated game this year, which is on nobody else's radar. And
really?
it was one of those games that I'm so happy that, you know that feeling of when you're anticipating something and have so many hopes for it.
Oh, yeah.
As many might have for Starfield or whatever coming up. But it's about what you expected, but not quite what you hoped. You know?
Okay.
Pikmin 4 was it wasn't that. That's what I got when I was excited for Kingdom Hearts 3. That's what I got when I played Halo Infinite. Pikmin 4, it's oh, this isn't what I expected. This is actually everything I hoped and more. So just finished that yesterday morning, and now I'm just touching a little quickie indie or two and debating what to play next.
Nice. You're the only one that I know of that is playing Pikmin 4 personally. So
same.
Congrats.
In our circles, yeah, totally same.
Yeah. Pong, welcome back. This is your, I think, third time to GTL.
Yeah, third, fourth. Who's counting at this point?
Who knows?
Right?
Well, welcome back. Right. It's always a good time.
It's a great time, Fonz. And Fonz, we are 18 days away, if you're in America, from Starfield early launch. Can you believe it, brother? 18 days.
It is one. Look, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that game. I've got vacation lined up for it.
So do I.
I'm ready to go. And you know what's perfect about it? Because my vacation, I have to start it on a Sunday. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. So when I originally had it, I was like, man, I'm going to have a few days before Starfield comes out.
Yep.
I wish I had the full vacation. Now that I get that early access, that Friday, boom.
Yep. You're
day
in.
One of my vacation, I'm in. So
it's beautiful. Yeah, I'll be off from Friday through Tuesday for Starfield for sure. So I won't go back to work until Wednesday. But right now, much like Kibiji, I am playing the game of my dreams. And I didn't know it was going to wind up being the game of my dreams, but Baldur's Gate 3. This is absolutely a masterpiece. It's not perfect. There are crashes for certain PCs. Again, living the PCMR life right now. Your results may vary depending on your PC. But the game itself and what Larian has done here is nothing short of phenomenal. This game deserves all the praise it's getting, and this is easily overtaken Diablo as my game of the year right now. We'll see if Starfield gets over the top of it. I'm assuming it will, but right now, Baldur's Gate 3 is just my life. So absolutely phenomenal game.
I knew it was going to be a really good game. I've been looking forward to it. I've actually played the older Baldur's Gate games back on PC back in the day. Actually, Baldur's Gate 1 on PC, but I played, I believe it was the PlayStation 2 or 3 where I played part 2. I can't remember, but it was on the PlayStation platform. And so I was looking forward to this game. And, man, I did not foresee it being as quality as people are saying it is.
I don't think any of us did.
The early access people, people on PC with the early access were talking it up pretty good because I was kind of following it a little bit. But I don't know if anybody knew the full game was going to be as good as it turned out, right? I mean, there's one thing to get early access, because early access was only the first act, really, and it was only a part of the first act. So it wasn't, it wasn't the majority of the game or anything, but you obviously saw glimpses and flashes of what could be there. But now that you got the complete package in your hands, like it's stupid how good they have done with every single level of being an RPG, a classic CRPG style game, from decision making to character development to everything that you in between, loot, all of it. It is a D&D tabletop experience put in video game form in the best way possible. Like the young me, the young Pong back in the day playing D&D tabletop, never would have thought I would get this type of experience at one point in my life. Yeah. So it's incredible.
That's cool. That's cool. Look, I want to ask you guys something. Are any of you playing Remnant 2, or have you played it? Have you tried it?
Yes.
Yeah,
you have.
Yep, not me.
Okay.
Yes. Beat it.
Pong, how do you? How'd you like the game? Did you beat it, or did you move on from it?
Beat it.
Nice.
Yeah, myself and Steele and Jasper, we did the co-op multiplayer, and we wound up beating it. There's more to do. I mean, again, it's not one of those games where you just beat it and it's like over with. There's plenty left to do. This is my dark horse game of the year. I don't think it's going to be nominated, but I think it should be in the conversation.
Really?
Again, not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. However, the creative part of it is what shines. There are very few games that come out from a studio like this that have that wow factor, as in, I've never seen this before. Who thought of this and how did I get here? Like, experience. I described it, Fonz, as a choose your own adventure book in video game form. You would come across the most random things, a lot like Elden Ring in some instances. You come across random things, like a random magic door that all of a sudden you would open up. You didn't know where you were going when you stepped through. And it could be a totally different world that you just walked into and you have no idea what to do, where to go. There's no hand holding really whatsoever. It's trial and error. It's figuring out puzzles. It is absolutely a fantastic game. I love Remnant 2.
I played Remnant 1 quite a bit, and I forgot I put it down for another game. I have a habit of doing that. Especially when something big comes out that I want to play and I've been waiting for it. And I think that's probably what happened, and I moved on. But it was a good game. What I was playing through was a good game. And I heard this one was a lot of the same, but it's much harder, I heard, for a solo player.
It can be in the beginning. In the beginning, it can be, right? The final boss, let me tell you, the difficulty spike for the final boss is ridiculous. Okay. And I've seen a lot of people frustrated that, like, I don't even want to play this anymore because the final boss is so hard. Yeah. It was tough. And but for solo players, the beginning can be very difficult when you first start out. But if you are paying attention, if you are powering and leveling up as you should be, and you're watching your gear, you will finally get that breakthrough moment where it's a little bit easier. Now, again, I did a lot of it co-op multiplayer with Steele and Jasper, but I did do some on my own. And for me, as not even like a real hardcore Souls guy, it was fine. And to your point, Fonz, the first one was good. They did exactly what you want them to do with the follow-up game, which is take everything that was great in the first one, make it that much better, and then learn from their mistakes and then just correct those. And that's exactly what this team did, on top of building out this incredible, wondrous world that you just have to see to believe. Like, some of the stuff is unbelievable. Yeah.
What about Atlas Fallen? Anybody played that? Atlas Fallen here? No. Yeah, you know what? This is kind of a weird one, right? So I haven't played it myself. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people in my circle actually like the game and others don't. So don't know what's going on there. But in early June, Focus Entertainment and Deck 13 both claimed that this game was going to run at 1440p 60 frames on PS5 and Xbox and 1080p on the Series S at 60 frames, and that it would be stable. However, it's a dynamic 1440p. So apparently this game is running mainly at about 1080p on the Series X and PS5 at 60 frames. And then I think on the Series S, they said it goes down to 800p and hovers there most of the game, which is just blurry, just outright blurry. unfortunately, it seems like we're getting a lot of, even sub 1080p games right now on the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. And I don't know, man. I know Deck 13 is using their own engine. It's their own proprietary engine. They're not using Unreal Engine 5, which has been the case with a lot of games that are running sub 1080p, even sub 720p at times. Some of these games. Now, let me ask you guys this. Were we expecting too much of these consoles in terms of performance?
Oh, okay. I was like expecting too many of them.
No,
the market. Yeah,
just because we're seeing more games now that are coming out in these performance modes that are next gen only
like
games.
Our expectations of what the consoles would be. Yeah. I mean, I don't think so, because those expectations were kind of set. Like they were explicitly said on both sides. They even print.
Yeah, but it also says 8K gaming on that box.
Yeah, it says 8K box, 8K on the box here. Yeah, I have all my consoles over there. But yeah, and that's what they did. They set that expectation. Phil Spencer going, like, our bar going forward is 4K 60. And so it's and
they also mentioned
too much. They set it up. So.
They mentioned many times too, even through Twitter. I remember Aaron Greenberg himself saying that 60 frames per second was the standard, moving up to even 120 frames on these games going forward. Now, this was early on. This was before Unreal Engine 5 and everything. But we know things get demanding. When you have a brand new engine like Unreal Engine 5, it's more demanding. And it's crippling even, the high-end PCs sometimes, and with certain games. Now, some of these games aren't fully optimized as well, but those that are even optimized, it seems that, it's just a very bloated engine, and it's going to take time for them to streamline that. And it's just funny to me how, like, we all expected, like, 4K gaming and like we expected more 60 frames, but we were even, being reasonable and saying, we'll get 1440p, and that's good. That's a sweet spot. But it seems like we're not really hitting those targets.
What I realized, though, is I don't remember if it was you that tweeted this. I thought I saw somebody tweet this, but I was kind of thinking of it the other day too. And I'm like, I think we're kind of regressing, because you look at a game, I'm not sure if I can think of too many examples on the PlayStation side, but on terms of the Xbox side of things, you look at a game like Psychonauts 2 and Halo Infinite. Those are two games that they run the 4K 60. They do that. And then they have an option that goes 1080p 120, or I think Halo Infinite's actually more like 1440p plus 120. So they did that, I think Sea of Thieves is another example. And so they've done it. But it's like, I think when you see like Forza Motorsport or Jedi Survivor or these things, or the example you just said, the Unreal 5 engine game, like as they add these things like ray tracing, better graphics with way higher pixel counts because of Unreal 5, I guess it just becomes harder and harder to keep that 4K 60 area legible or whatever. So,
Pong, what do you have to say on this?
Our expectations were set by the companies themselves. Now, unfortunately, It doesn't seem like the devs were in the room at the same time. It seems like, we heard, right, that they had talked to devs and looking forward into this generation, what it was going to take. And obviously, we've known that for a while, that most of the time, both Sony and Xbox do talk to their own devs and some third parties to see what's kind of lining up so they can make sure that they got the right tech in there. But it seems like that's not the case. And obviously, the easy one to point to is Unreal Engine 5 as being the one, because, again, just to add to what you just said there, Fonz, Lords of the Fallen, another game coming out this year. Unreal Engine 5 just announced, I think today or yesterday, 1080p 60 upscaled for that. And in quality mode, it's going to be 1440p upscaled 30 frames on Series X and PlayStation 5. So it does seem like they weren't forward thinking enough, or they didn't have enough information gathered as to what the devs were going to do. Now, to be fair too, we've all been around long enough. We've seen enough console generations. The beginning of the console generation and the end of the console generation, the games are completely and vastly different. There's times in the beginning of the console generation where we're like, oh, how could they ever top this? And then by the end of the generation, we're getting games where we're like, oh my God, like look at the beginning games we got. Look at these games now. Is it going to be any different this time? I don't know, because it seems like the games are getting more, I don't want to say bloated, but more complex. And maybe the engines just really are outpacing the tech that's in the consoles right now. And I don't know if the devs are going to find a way to catch up or to make it work as well as it should on the consoles as of this point.
Yeah, I think things will get a bit better, especially as the engines get more streamlined, because that will happen. It always does. Yeah. They're on remember at the beginning of Unreal Engine 5 when they started talking about it, in its original form, they said that the new consoles would not have 60 frames games at all.
Right.
They were saying there was no way to do it. And then now they've, upgraded the engine a bit, made it more streamlined, and it's at like 5.2 or something now. And we're getting 60 frames games at least, so that's a good thing. 1080p, I think I can deal with that. I can deal with 1080p 60 frames on these consoles. But when you get to like 720p, it's blurry. It's not good on your 4K TV at all.
No. Not even with upscaling, it's not.
Even with FSR, it's just.
No.
I have a like just to create banter here. I will say I somewhat disagree, and I only say that because I do touch my Switch a good deal. And if you have the right,
you're
TV,
playing on a phone-sized, or handheld.
If you're playing on a phone size, no. I'm saying on my TV. To finish my statement, if you have the right TV, some of them upscale really good. I will say that. But I'm not saying that justifies things. I'm just saying, like, you got a really good TV. Some of them do a damn good job.
I'd like to think I have a really nice TV, but it, even it upscaling with FSR 2.0, it's still blurry. It's not good at 720p. Maybe you get used to your Switch and how the graphics look on the Switch. I don't know. Maybe all the bright and colorful graphics just skew your mind a bit when you're playing your game. I don't know. But for me, I'm starting to see these games, like especially the games that are sub 1080p. It really does make a difference on your TV. It's a bit blurrier.
It is.
But let's get into something else here. Let's get into some Baldur's Gate 3. All right. Let's talk about the Metacritic scores. Really doing well there. Even on the user end, it's really good. This game is being hailed as being one of the best games of this generation, really. Lots of people are loving it. And it's funny because it's got devs. It's got other developers kind of in a panic right now. We've had developers come out and say that Baldur's Gate 3, guys, might harm future titles because of its high quality. They're saying things like this game isn't the new standard and shouldn't be compared to other games in the genre. Says, another one said, don't take the excitement for a high quality game like Baldur's Gate and use it as a weapon to apply criticism where other games may fall short. This is just an anomaly, they say. This is crazy talk, in my opinion. So I don't know. In my opinion, when I translate that, I hear developers saying, we don't want to do that or we can't do that. So don't expect that. And that's ridiculous to make us expect less. I don't know. Pong, what do you say?
Yeah. Like there's two sides, and I'm hoping this remains a small portion of the community, the dev community, because I have seen other devs come out and push back against this and say IGN was wrong for even publishing this. Again, they're going to say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is the higher ups. A lot of it is the publisher side of things. That's where convincing the publishers is what the devs would have to do in order to get a game like this pushed through, right? To get approval to put 6 years, 400 plus people on a game, AAA, CRPG, which again, for this genre is the rarest of rare unicorns, right? That's why this game is blowing people's minds, because this genre is considered niche. A lot of places, look at EA, look at what they did with Mass Effect, look at what they did with Dragon Age. They moved away from some of the hardcore aspects of RPGs to try to gain a mass audience, not realizing that they made a freaking fantastic game like Baldur's Gate 3, that audience would show up anyways. Just that's why it's great that this is happening. But I hope that the devs do what they've always done when a great game comes out, because we've seen plenty of great games, right? We've seen generation defining games like Skyrim, Fallout, right? We've seen that from Bethesda before. We've seen it from many places, Elden Ring. I hope the devs take it as a challenge, and I hope that they look at it and say, even if we don't have the budget, we don't have the time, our publisher, our higher ups aren't giving us that much leeway to go and make a big game like this, we can pull certain aspects that Baldur's Gate 3 showed to be successful, and we can apply those to our game. We can apply certain mechanics. We can lean into, the heavy side of, D&D and the stats and the dice rolling and all that kind of stuff. Whatever you want to pull out of it for your game that doesn't cost you a lot of money. The CGI and that kind of stuff that is very obviously costly, maybe they can't do that. But I don't think we've ever seen a time and point. There's been a lot of, games that have come out that try to replicate Skyrim and Fallout and those types of games before. And I haven't seen people go, oh yeah, but it's just not Skyrim. Like, I don't think that really happens. I think people say, oh, I see bits and pieces of Skyrim in this game, or I understand this is a AA game versus a AAA game. They did a nice job here trying to do that. I just hope that there's more learning here, especially on the upper end, the publishers in the high management side of things, that they say, look, we can take a risk on a game. We can let our team go do this on their original vision. We don't have to worry about necessarily mass appealing everything. We can lean into what makes our games great. I hope that's where the change really is. But I think some of these devs, this is a little bit of knee-jerk response from some of these people's funds. I think because obviously they see something like this and they go, yeah, we're never going to be given the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I don't want my game compared to that. Right. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of that.
We saw, one of the devs said that this type of developer effort most likely won't be replicated this decade. Like that's
kind of nonsense.
So there's yes. you can point at certain games and say, yes, this is kind of an anomaly in gaming, a game this high of quality and stuff. But it can be replicated. It most definitely can be replicated. You can make your own high effort game because you say it right there. It's about effort. It's about high effort you put into your game. KBG, let me ask you this. Do you think most developers intentionally don't try to get to this level of quality for some reason? And before you answer that, I want to preface this by saying, hear me out, guys. Maybe this mentality is because some developers feel like if they hold certain things back, they can release it later for more money. Or maybe they have their game built with microtransactions in mind, which this game does not have microtransactions. So do you think that they're holding back intentionally for other reasons other than just, they can't possibly replicate this in terms of quality?
Is that possible? Yes. Am I assuming that? I have no earthly idea because I'm not a publisher. I mean, that's a good market idea potentially if they wanted to make money. But yeah, I think, like I saw somebody in the chat bring up like Elden Ring, and
yeah, that was another anomaly, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
devs were upset about that game too.
And so I think the thing is, so basically I'm devil's advocate on this because, and what I mean by that is the point that I personally got from, because it stems from basically a tweet that developers were kind of agreeing and disagreeing with, is just like, don't expect this to be the new bar going forward. Because if it's the new bar, then you guys are going to be disappointed a lot because this is like a very high feat. If you want every open world game to be Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game, then you're going to be disappointed a lot, kind of a thing. And that's like the half that I agree with because this is a shooting star moment. Now, as Pong said, can you learn from it? Absolutely. Why did people like the freedom in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Why did people get so addicted to Elden Ring that they would want to replay it like 3 or 4 times? Hell, I freaking want to play it 3 or 4 times. And like what made people do that? So you can still learn from it, but can you replicate it? Absolutely not. Like, I'm firmly that. Absolutely not. You can't just replicate the success that Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate, and Zelda had. You just can't. You can learn from it, absolutely. But like, and if you go with the expectation that it's like, okay, Baldur's Gate did that, why can't you? I personally think it's a little bit of a toxic mindset. I do.
Yeah.
I think as a dev though, KBG, I think you probably agree. Those bars have to be set, and you as a dev, as somebody who is in this space, in this industry, want to shoot for that mark if you're given that opportunity, right? That should be a goal when those games set that high bar. You should be like, you know what? I'm gonna get there. Me and my team are gonna get there, or we might come up short, but we're gonna try our hardest to get to that point. I think it's always good to have those moments and those games, because they do come every generation where we have, new high water marks set for everybody, and that hasn't stopped people, right? That hasn't people will curl up in a ball and cry themselves to sleep like I'm never going to be able to make a Baldur's Gate 3. That's not what they're going to do, but I just think it's important to have those marks set for the team to have those goals to look towards, I think.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I've got Pure Magnum 912 here. He says, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, devs just need to do better. Well, I agree some devs need to do better, but I will also say that you have to understand some developers, not all, but, well, they're all under certain constraints, but they are beholden to publishers. And, there's timelines, there's deadlines, there's things like that I don't know how Larian Studios, how the publishing works there or whatever with them. Yeah. But that is a situation where, if they had more time, maybe that would, of course that would help with the quality of their game. But I don't want to speak for all developers and say, nah, they all could do exactly what they did. However, when it comes to the quality of the games, I think that Baldur's Gate 3 does expose the lack of quality in a lot of other games in the genre. And that's one thing that it does.
Yeah, and things to learn from too. I see people bringing up the fact that Baldur's Gate doesn't have any kind of battle pass or microtransaction expansion or whatever, which that's something to note for folks. Now, is that making them money? We'll see. If it sells well, hell, but it's in the top 10 most played games ever on Steam, so I would imagine it's doing well. But the other thing too that I've never seen from a game like this is 3 years of early access.
Correct.
Yeah, I've never seen that for Phasmophobia. I love that game. I love anybody play Phasmophobia? Hello. But anyways, that game's coming to console this month, hopefully. And it's crazy to see any game on this level get to do that. I legitimately thought this isn't going to be a success because people have been playing it for the past couple years. I thought that was already out. And then boom, look at what happened.
Well, being self-published, they can do that, right? Yeah. Being self-published, they can do that. But it's crazy because that's a great point. Being there in early access that long, they got a lot of feedback over time, over that long time from the community, which helps a ton in developing a high-quality game. Maybe others in this genre need to do something similar, and publishers need to recognize this. If you want a really good game, high-quality game that people are going to buy, let them do early access. Let them try to get feedback from the community, especially a game like this. It makes total sense because of the type of game it is. It's not like your run-of-the-mill action open-world adventure. This is actually, there is RPG mechanics, strategy involved, all this stuff. And people, when they play that certain genre, it has to be fun. It has to be engaging. And they took all that into account from the community, everything they had to say, poured their soul into this game, apparently. and brought out a great product. So I don't know. I just think it's funny though to hear from other developers that are like, you know, kind of in a panic, like we can't do this. This is crazy.
And you know, my hope is again, on top of the publishers and the higher ups seeing the success and taking from it, like you were just talking about, Fonz. That's one of my big hopes. The other hope is that someplace like Xbox, right? They've got In Exile and they've got Obsidian. They've got two teams that know how to do these games, right? We got Pillars of Eternity and we got Wasteland. You don't think that Phil's not looking over at this success and looking over at Obsidian and In Exile? And yes, they both obviously have a lot of projects in the works, but we know that Wasteland's going to eventually come back. We know that Pillars of Eternity could eventually come back after Avowed comes out, because that'll kind of introduce people to that world who haven't played them before. But with the success of Baldur's Gate, I really hope that they go, you know what, you guys want to go back? Yeah, we're going to beef up, you know, your budget a little bit. We're going to give you more time to develop this game. Do something like Baldur's Gate 3, please, because both of those teams could. They've got the talent, they've got the writers, they've got everything in place. They just need time and budget to do it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I brought up what nobody's really talking about is those constraints from the publishers. And that's what people have to understand. That's a big part of this situation with Larian. You know, when you can self-publish your game, you can take all the time that your money allows. So, and
That's
they did that. So they did a great job with this game, and I can't wait to play it. But honestly, Starfield's right around the corner. I'm not starting a game like Baldur's Gate. Pong, I don't know how you do it. Like, how are you going to jump off of a game that you say you didn't know you needed in your life to Starfield?
Because that's what I've done basically my whole entire life. So again, I've always been a grazer. For the long as I can remember, it's just gotten worse as I've gotten older. I don't have a problem doing that. Again, it's rare, like Diablo 4 and Baldur's Gate 3 now, and Remnant 2 for about a 2-week period. It's rare for me to get involved in a game so much that I don't play anything else, but that's exactly what's happened this year with these great games. Same thing will happen with Starfield. I'll put Baldur's Gate 3 away on ice for a little bit. I'll play Starfield month, 2 months, however long, and then I'll start splitting between the two again. And then Forza will be out and all that good stuff. So, but yeah,
you know, East Side Vandal in the chat had a good comment here. He said, Grounded definitely did the same thing, and it's fantastic. Coincidence? I think not. No, that's another game that they had early access for quite some time, and they were building upon that game, taking feedback from the community and everything. And you could like it or hate it yourself. There is millions of people out there who love Grounded and love that game for what it is. I personally, I had fun with it. I played with friends online, and we played it a couple of times. I played it with them, and I had fun while playing with them, but it's not a game that I particularly would jump onto. I'm more of a single player gamer anyway. I love my single player games. So, but I could see the quality in Grounded for sure. Like, people laugh at that game and stuff, but hey, it's a quality product and people love it.
From a passion project into something much bigger than even Xbox or Obsidian ever thought it was going to be.
For sure.
So there's proof in the pudding.
I'm just going to bring up something really quick because I didn't see it on the docket per se, but just because we're kind of like on this subject of just like this week, something that happened was we got to learn, speaking of Obsidian, that Avowed was originally being pitched as a multiplayer game. It was supposed to be a multiplayer RPG, which they hadn't done before. And, you know, they got to have their early access for Grounded. And now we get to find out that, we didn't have to do the Redfall situation because we were in the early cusps of this project when we were acquired. So we didn't have to pitch the game that would be sellable to publishers. We were just talking also about like how publishers might be a big part of how a game releases. But this was when we got acquired by Microsoft here, we just got to make the game we feel we have a lot of experience in, we know we can make good. So we just made it a single player RPG. And that's good. I love hearing that, you know. That I don't know, I just wanted to bring that up and I think it's cool.
It's crazy though, because we heard that a while ago too. We were hearing rumors that it was once supposed to be a multiplayer game, but with a game like that, I'm hoping when you switch like into from like multi-plat to single player mode or vice versa, how much changes within the game, and like does that change any
like, this
core
was
mechanic
literally
of the game?
at the start. So like if anybody hasn't read this book,
It's at the start. Okay, at the very start.
Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I just finished reading this, and it's awesome. Great book if you want to learn a bit about game design. Not like how to do it, but just what developers have to go through to make a game.
Yeah.
They were literally in their pitching phase. Like that's when they got acquired. So it was like, this is what we're thinking. When Microsoft bought them, and then they're like, this is the
Really
game you
what
want to make? Like, well, if you're cool with it, we'd be more happy if it's single player. Like, go ahead and make a single player. So I'm like, that's so cool.
It flies in the face of all those people who like to say that Xbox was going to make these people make Game Pass games and games as a service, and they got to be multiplayer because Xbox is going to buy them and change them all.
Now, if anybody wants to throw that on my face and go, then how come Redfall turned out how it was? Because Redfall was already like halfway through development, so they couldn't take it back, kind of a thing. So
Speaking of Game Pass, by the way, good segue. Quake 2 Remaster released on Game Pass this week, and it's got a lot of fans of the franchise happy and hoping for a new one someday. Have you guys played this?
Yes. Is this Shadow Drop, by the way?
Yes.
Pretty much. Well, pretty
We
much.
knew it was a rumor.
It was kind of a rumor for a while.
It was a rumor, but so that was a cool thing because QuakeCon was going on when they announced that, and it's like Shadow Drop, Quake 2 Remaster.
So complete with visual enhancements, new expansion, multiplayer, and of course multiplayer, and the Nintendo 64 version of the game as well, which is kind of cool. So, what do you guys feel about this? Like, played it?
Yeah, this is the way to do it. We're going to talk about one way to not do this type of situation. We're going to get into that later.
We definitely will.
But this is the way you do it, right, Fonz? You take Quake 2. If you're not going to rebuild it from the ground up, there's only so much you can do for a game this old. But what you do is you do it to the best of your ability, 4K, 120, throw it out there on the Xbox Series S, add in content, add in a whole extra DLC, give us that 64 version as well, and then reopen the servers for multiplayer. Let's go. Co-op as well. I actually played for probably an hour or 2 hours, played through the first level on single player, and then hopped into a few matches of multiplayer. And it's Quake 2. It brought me back all the way back again. Quick, fast-paced, Twitch shooter, craziness, people still knowing how to do unbelievable things in multiplayer, frustrating things in multiplayer, but it's fun. It's Quake 2. And then on top of it, Fonz, it's in Game Pass. Of course, it's in Game Pass, but they also launched it on PlayStation and Switch as well. $10. That's acceptable. Wow. I would actually say the work that they did in this game, the additional content, I could have seen them charging $20 for this, and I still would have said it was a fair price. But this is $10. This is how you do this type of situation.
Yeah, look how fast paced. I remember this game. Man, back in the day playing Quake and Unreal. Those games were so fast-paced and nice and buttery smooth. It looks, this looks like a really, it's a quality little remaster for what they did. Absolutely. For $10, man, you can't expect much more than that. But they did a great thing here, and I like what they did here. I haven't tried it myself yet, but it's definitely one of those games that I would pick up and play with some friends in a party chat. I think it would be really cool to experience all over again. Definitely going to do that too. And I see you ranting, Greek gamer. Welcome. But here's a little bit of a deviation to this topic, because we're on the topic of remasters here. This is how not to do your remaster. We're going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, people. I mean, Red Dead Redemption, the first one. So they decided to say they're going to remaster this game, come out with this game. And I was excited. I was hoping, man, maybe it'll be a remake. No, it's a remaster. Okay, maybe it'll be a high quality remaster. We're going to get 4K. We're going to get 60 frames per second, or at least 1440p, 60 frames per second, please. No, not even 1080p, 60 frames per second. Can we get 720p with FSR 60 frames?
This is a port, Fonz. Call it what it is. This is a port. It's not a remaster.
So is this Grove Street Games all over again? Who's making this? I hope it's not Grove Street. Those are the guys who made the GTA series, by the way.
It is not.
I was going to say, I need context there. Yeah.
It was the abomination of those three masterpiece of games
Maybe
that
it
they
was.
could have came out with something really good. I was waiting for that, the GTA series. And then what they gave us was, man, I never want to see Grove Street like do another game for them again. But they did sell like 14 million copies of that.
Of course they did. That's the problem.
And that's why they're doing this. We know this. It's a cash grab, right, guys? It's a cash grab.
I mean, it's a cash grab, and it's what's the price for it? It's $40.
50.
50.
Oh my God, it is full price. So let's rewind a little bit to the Doom 2 thing, because it's a remaster of Doom, updated graphics, updated frames per second, and everything. And now, granted, much older game. Okay, much older game, but $10 versus the full price that Red Dead Redemption was at launch in 2010. I think it was 2010. Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. And I saw somebody in the chat go like, Xbox is handling Rockstar Games better than Rockstar Games is handling Rockstar Games. And his joke there is that if you have Red Dead Redemption and you bought it for 360 because of how great Xbox is with backwards compatibility, you can just play it.
Yeah, and it looks really good.
I think somebody pointed out that it's like on sale too or whatever, and you could buy it for like $20 or $30, which is cheaper than these brand new copies.
I don't know if you guys seen the images online, but some people are saying that it looks like that some of the textures were reworked.
Reworked.
But still, that like, I really need a 60 frames mode.
Fonz, this is crazy. This is
Why
crazy
aren't they
from one of
giving
the
us
biggest
a 60
publishers in
frame?
the world. This is disrespectful on all levels. I like Strauss. Like I, as far as CEOs go, I like Strauss. But this man 2 years ago came out in an article and said, what we've done differently, and this is quote, what we've done differently than the competition is we don't just port titles over. We actually take the time to do the very best job we can, making the title different for the new release. 2 years ago, he had the gall to say that. And then they put out the GTA trilogy, and they heard about the GTA trilogy. Obviously, they got it. Now, like you said, Fonz, they sold 14 million copies or whatever it was. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But this is the same company who put out a Mafia remake that was built from the ground up, which is gorgeous, by the way. Anybody who hasn't played Mafia yet, go play the Mafia remake. Mafia 1 remake came out and sold for $40, and that was built from the ground up fresh. This is dumb. Like, if you're, again, I understand the need to port this game over. I get it. Switch players, brand new audience.
PlayStation 4, huge
obviously,
audience.
PlayStation 4, huge audience. Haven't had a chance because obviously PS3 cell processor screwed that up.
Yeah.
That's fine. But to charge $50 and then quote say it's commercially accurate, according to Strauss, come on, man. Come on. We got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition for $60 for 3 games. Where are you getting commercially accurate from? Like, so it's a slap in the face. It's because they know their customers will go buy this, even if it is $50. I hope they don't, but we know they're going to sell millions. So at the end of the day, that's all Take-Two really cares about. But I always say that these types of franchises that put your company on the map, and GTA and Red Dead are the reason why Take-Two is one of the biggest publishers today. Nice. 2 of the main reasons. You treat those, if you're going to bring them back in any form, if you're going to update them in any form, treat them with the respect, especially when your company's printing money hand over fist for the past decade on GTA 5. Treat this with respect. Do the right thing. Give your customers what they've been asking for, please, and do it reasonably. But to do a straight port and charge 50, I can't get on board with this one, Fonz, at all.
By the way, Ryan Landy's in the chat said that Red Dead Redemption is currently $30 on Xbox.
Yeah.
So,
but so let me ask this.
Yeah,
so what is that correct thing?
Who are you asking?
Like, if this was both of you, because like if they just re-release this as a port, then what's the price of the port?
$20, $30.
$20-$30.
I would agree with that. So because I saw somebody earlier say like, you guys are kind of missing the point, and I don't know, like here's what I know I'm playing devil's advocate a lot in this, but I do my best to try to think the logic behind it. Oh, they just want to make money. That's the logic. Okay, but let's go a bit deeper than that, because when I first saw this, I just saw it as a Switch trailer. I had no idea that there was a PlayStation 4 version of this. And I was like, oh, they're bringing Red Dead Redemption to the Switch. Okay, I don't care for these Switch ports, but that's cool. You know, if anybody wants to play it and they never have, this is Red Dead Redemption for the Switch. Oh, it's $50. That's unfortunately how every port is on the Switch. They're all $50. They all charge basically full price. That's just how it works on that system. So they're not alone there. Okay.
Nope.
And then I saw the PS4 version, and I'm like, well, that's kind of lame. But then there is technically no possible way to play this game on PlayStation 4 or 5, or maybe 4. I don't know if 4 has PS3 backwards compatibility.
No.
So it's like, okay, there you go. So
That's
like,
why they're doing it.
exactly. So it's like, if you want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Redemption, without, if you for some reason kept your PS3 in the storage closet, then here's a way to do that. And that's basically what this was. Like
Correct.
This is a way to play it on Switch. This is a way to play it on PlayStation if you so choose.
Yeah.
Now, should they have charged $50? Probably not. Like, I'd say no. This should have been 20 or 30. I agree with you guys. But if they did that, then to me, I don't want to say give this a pass, but I would say makes sense. It's something for them to purchase if they want to play it on these two systems.
It wouldn't be so bad to me had they not announced it for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as well, especially the Xbox Series X, because you're not really getting anything. You're getting some new textures here and there. Like, I don't know, but why couldn't they at least like try to push it to that 60 frames for at least the Xbox Series X and PS5?
Doesn't it happen though naturally, because they always like add like 10 or 20 frames when you play like old games like that?
No, it's not. It's because a lot of these games are locked, and I believe Red Dead Redemption is one of those games that's locked, because even when they did the backwards compat, it's still at 30 frames.
Gotcha.
It looks really good. Even on the One X, it looked good, but they didn't rework any textures or whatever. But I just think $50 is a big ask, especially as a Series X owner, for pretty much no real enhancements that really bring you anything different from the original game. Like, I don't care about textures too much. Like, for me, it's mainly, if it had 60 frames, with the way it looks now on the Series X, I'd be ecstatic. That'd be perfect for me. Like, let me play that at 60 frames.
Look, they haven't even patched Red Dead 2.
If anybody wants to play a good graphic version of Red Dead Redemption 1, spoilers, beat Red Dead Redemption 2 and play the post game.
Sappho,
if you played Red Dead Redemption 2, you know what I'm talking about. Just play the post game.
Sappho, you're not wrong.
Redemption 1.
Sappho's not wrong.
Yep. Yeah.
People will buy even if it was 10 frames.
Sure.
Look, I mean, there's people out there that love the Rockstar franchise
that
so
released
much that
GTA 5 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times.
Unfortunately. Correct. And for me personally, look, I love Rockstar. I love their games. Like Red Dead and GTA are some of my favorite games of all time. But I'm not, after the bastardization of that GTA trilogy, I am not falling victim again to their remasters. They really have to prove themselves to me going forward. And that's why I was kind of side-eyeing this a little bit, but I was just hoping to hear 60 frames. Like, if that's all they added, I would have been a happy man. And I would have paid $30 for it. But 50 is egregious. It's asking way too much.
Yep.
It's asking too much. Because they're basically doing what, you know, like your PC can right now.
Right.
You play the game on PC and you get a little bit better graphics. That's it. Like, actually, you can play 60 frames on PC, I'm sure. So,
Ken and Red Dead 2.
Yeah, Red Dead 2 anyway.
Yep.
It's crazy. Let me see this real quick. Oh, we got a super chat here from Hargeet Shani. It's in relation to Red Dead port. He said the Red Dead port isn't coming to Xbox, is it? I think it is. I think it was announced for everything, wasn't it?
Nope. No, just PlayStation and Switch. That's the only two things. Yep. Because we do already technically have the better version. PlayStation 4, but you're going to be able to play it on PlayStation 5.
Oh, backward.
Correct.
Some sort of backwards compat thing.
Yep.
I got you.
Exactly.
So, there was no Xbox announcement because there was no reason to.
Yeah. See, well, there you go. Like, so it's I guess it's a non-issue for me because I just want them to bring out a 60 frames version. I really do. Like, they need that. They need it. Especially Red Dead 2 also. Like,
I'm saying.
remember they kind of dangled a carrot. They said they were going to give us a remaster of that game or something, or 60 frames, and then they just took it away. They were like, no soup for you.
Everybody kept hearing some kind of Red Dead news the past couple months, and everybody was hoping,
Yeah.
I was hoping. Red Dead Redemption 2 series and PS5 patch. If they do that, I guarantee you, here's the re-release, and they'll sell it. Guaranteed.
For sure. By the way, earlier when the show started, Brigadier's Blue came in with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, as he does every week. He says, another week means another GTL. Can't wait to see what this week's show will bring. Pong and KBG are always great to hear from. Thank you, man. Yes, they are. They're awesome people. Let's go ahead and talk about Turn 10. Leaving some legacy features out, guys. Now, I saw this on Twitter, of course. Idle Sloth posted this. He says, unfortunately, Forza Motorsport has 3 legacy features that won't be ready for launch. One being spectator mode, another being racing with AI and featured multiplayer, and the other being split screen. Split screen rears its ugly head yet again, people. Split screen seems to be the bane of like this generation's gaming, guys. What is going on with split screen?
Who plays split screen in 2023?
Oh, you say that, but then I hear people that got mad. People got mad about the lack of split screen in Halo Infinite.
Well, but Halo, that's where I think there is a difference because Halo. Because Halo, people grew up playing it that way. They play with their kids that way.
We were hooking up 2 Xboxes to 2 different TVs in my house. Like that's
and people were doing that in LAN parties too, right? But a lot of people were doing split screen back then, and I could see why the nostalgia factor for a game like Halo would say, "Okay, I want to play split screen with my kids now and have the same experience I did back then." No, like how many people even knew that Forza had split screen? Like legitimately knew.
I would argue that.
Nobody.
I don't know. But
I'm more shocked by them saying the lack of a spectator mode and the AIs and the stuff. Because like to me, I was like, wait a minute, there won't be like, are they saying there won't be NPCs you race against in multiplayer if like a player leaves, for instance, and you also aren't able to spectate? Those are 2 features I'm very surprised about not being in there. I'm much like split screen's the more interesting thing to talk about, but I'm just kind of surprised that those 2 aren't making it in. But split screen doesn't surprise me based off what I'm hearing. Yeah.
What about 4K 60 with ray tracing as promised?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's actually going to deliver here?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I still believe so, Fonz, but it is interesting they've gone more and more quiet the closer to launch we get about it, and they stopped touting it the way that they were in the beginning. This is like a bigger issue, Fonz. I had a lot of discussions this week on this specifically, and it's an interesting conversation to have. I want devs to stop promising features so early on in development, since they all know that things change throughout development. I know that's it's like a selling point that you want to throw out there, but it keeps coming back to bite people in the butt. And I think it's time that devs promote your game early so that you can hire people. That's fine. Show it off early if you have to. That's fine. But don't promise us performance. Don't promise us all these features so that by the time you get within 6 months of release, you're rolling things back and going, about the drag racing and the drifting. Yeah, that's not going to be there at launch. I just think that we've seen too many examples of this, and I think they need to start being a little bit more quiet about the specific features within a game so early on. That's my point to all this, because had they not said anything yesterday, Fonz, yesterday had a lot of good stuff during the Forza talk. Was it yesterday or was it, today's Sunday, so it was a couple days ago now. They actually had a lot of good stuff, a lot of cool stuff about the multiplayer come out about Forza. They're doing a lot of great things. I love Turn 10 I trust, right? But the fact that they come out and talk about these things not being there takes and detracts away, at least in this little community. The masses never hear this stuff. They don't care unless IGN writes an article about it. But for us to talk about this is dumb, because there was a lot of great things to talk about what they did announce for multiplayer and the changes that they're doing over there. So I think they've got to learn to kind of shut up. Just shut up about it.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. It's like, what if they never said anything and the game came out and then we hear that in the reviews? Like, it's unfortunate, however, that there isn't returning features. Like,
exactly. That's a perfect way to say.
But look what happened with GT7, right? Gran Turismo. They didn't talk about the missing features, and the reviewers ignored it and went on about their day. It wasn't until the game came out and said, people were like, why can't I sell my car? And then everybody was like, oh, what do you mean you can't sell your car? None of the reviewers talked about it. So again, I understand what you're saying, Kabiji. Obviously, that could happen. But I think it's better to take that hit then than to detract from all the good news that you're promoting while you're doing the hype, the what do I want to say? The lead up to launch. Like, this is the lead up to launch. They're hyping this thing. Don't detract from that with these little things, because nobody would even notice that split screen, except for maybe the 1,000 people that play split screen Forza. Maybe they would have said something finally, but we just never would have heard about it.
So here's a good question that I see. Where is it? Eastside Vandal. He going. First it was Halo. Next is Baldur's Gate 3. Now it's this. Release the X version while still working on the S. Parity should be dropped ASAP. That's something I find more interesting in this.
We now
have like Halo Infinite, which had to drop the feature. We have Baldur's Gate struggling because they have to release it in parity with the X, S, and now this, and so. Now, I really wish I knew more games that maybe publicly said something like this regarding, like PlayStation or maybe even Nintendo or PC or whatever. But it seems like the Series S has been much more the public point, if you will. And I think that's kind of the interesting conversation here, because maybe for Halo, maybe it would have worked if it was just on S and X. But because that game was releasing on the One family, maybe they're like, oh, there's no way we could get it to work on the One family split screen. Yeah. So
everybody points to the memory issue in the Series S.
Yeah.
That's what they're pointing to. And that's one of the limitations, especially that's really heavy for split screen, in particular for Baldur's Gate 3 anyway. So I don't know for the other games, but I think split screen may have something to do with that. But yeah, you're 100% right, though, Pong, when you're saying that they should just learn to shut up, learn to stop trying to promise things that they can't deliver on. Because as Ryan Landy said earlier, it was the issue with Halo Infinite.
Correct.
They were promising certain things, and then they didn't deliver. Because we heard Bonnie Ross state, I mean, unequivocally that split screen wasn't going to be there. Yeah. It just simply wasn't, and never came. So it's just, learn to shut up, I guess.
Works for multiplayer, but not campaign, basically. Yeah.
But no, the game is looking incredible. Yeah. I don't foresee this game flopping in any way. I don't want to make that a point of contention at all. I'm not saying that at all. This game looks great. They've always delivered a solid product. They said that these features wouldn't be there at launch, but it doesn't mean that they won't come later on. I'm sure Turn 10 will deliver on those features. Split screen, I personally think split screen's a non-issue. That's me in any game. Like I don't play split screen unless I take that back. If I'm at a party and somebody has Mario Kart or Mario Party or something, that's the only time I play split screen.
This was what I was gonna bring up. Is like I was like, you know what, Halo, I don't mind it as much because the multiple people shooting, that's distracting. But for a racing game, I feel like this is more of a blow personally, because I like
but I've never played Forza that way.
Is that far ahead? No,
Yeah, but with Forza, you've got so much more to look at. There's so much more detail. Like it just, there's things that take away from the actual race for me. Like I love looking at all the visuals while I'm.
Did you see the new footage they showed yesterday, Fonz?
Yeah, it looks incredible.
That rain footage, that multiplayer rain footage. Oh my God, gorgeous! Just absolutely perfect. Again, I have zero worries about Turn 10 and what product they're going to put out.
I'm not worried about it.
Not worried at all. And again, this is going to be a platform. This is going to be a games of service. They're going to continue to add to it, which again, we can have the debate whether or not that's a good thing nowadays and whether it's a crutch or not, but we're long past that point in 2023. It's going to happen. So it's coming out and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. So when it drops, that's for sure. So,
for sure. Now, so we go from talking about Turn 10 here and this awesome game that's about to drop soon. A couple of months, right? Is it October or November?
October.
That's right. And we go to this being in the news. Sony is delaying some of their exclusives. According to their latest financial report, Sony had delayed multiple first-party exclusives for the second half of this year, 2023. This fiscal year, I should say, because their fiscal year runs into March of next year, 2024. Right. But they're holding games back from this time period, guys. It's rumored that Stellar Blade might have been one of those games that they held back. Other games we don't know of, but what do you make of this, Pong? How do you feel about this? Like, what do you think they're doing here?
They're not doing anything but making sure that their house is in order and that they're going to put out the products that they're expected to put out, and they're not going to have any missteps with a game that's not of the highest quality. So I think that this is part of that performance review. We saw them cancel Fonz, 3-4 games in the past 6 months, 7 months. I think that was I think this language, and again, I was trying to search for specifics because I saw people throwing out specific number of games delayed, and I was like, where are you guys getting this? I couldn't find anything. This was just internal language. I didn't see any specifics. Yeah, internal delays. So I think this was just part of that whole review that they had. Now, there was some smoke that Stellar Blade was not in good shape when Sony took over publishing rights and got that exclusivity, that it wasn't up to their standards. So that makes a lot of sense. We've heard Smoke Twisted Metal was in the works. Makes sense that that would be delayed, longer too, to make sure it's up to speed. Is Factions considered a part of this group? Because obviously we know Bungie told them, Faction ain't good enough. Don't put that out right now. So maybe that's one of the internal delays as well. Yeah. Why do
you have to come in here with the logic? Because I thought I was the only one that was going to have this take as well. I was waiting for you guys to go and try to make up some fanboy rhetoric about what's going on at PlayStation. It's doom and gloom, but this is typical PlayStation.
Yes.
This is how they've always operated. I mean, I remember going back, even just the PS4 era, going back to the beginning, their games were delayed big time. I didn't get a great game on that platform, I should say, AAA game on that platform for like a year, when it dropped. This is typical Sony, and they had a bunch of delayed games just last generation, going into this generation. So all those great games that they had with the PS5. Most of them were delays from last gen.
Yeah, they had a stretch run, right? 2018 to 2022. They had a great run of consistency in games. Right. Anybody who knows this industry, anybody who pays attention, knew this was coming, that they were going to have to reload. They don't have the amount of studios to just keep firing away all year after year after year. They had 5-year stretch run. There's gonna be some reloading time where they get back, and they've got new IP supposedly in the work. That takes even longer than their sequels do because they don't have a lot of the assets and stuff already pre-made. So that's gonna be more time as well. We knew this was coming, Fonz. This is no big deal. Do you want, you know what though, Fonz? What I will say, fanboy wise, I'd love to see some articles being written though about what's going on over at Sony, and do they have a management problem? I would like to see that.
Right. Where's that? KBG, come on, play devil's advocate one more time here. Tell us, what's the doom and gloom going on over at Sony? What is happening there? It's all just bad, right?
Well, clearly shit's hit the fan, and I don't understand it. No.
Fire Jim.
No, it's 100% because I saw somebody in the chat earlier say this, where it's this same exact kind of statement came out from Xbox a year ago, whatever, and everybody lost their minds. Mm-hmm. And right now, everybody's just observing this from PlayStation, So that is a thing that's very annoying. And sorry, chat, if you wanted us all to spread a lot of doom and gloom, but it's as Pong said, it's just, this is what PlayStation does. And personally, I'm going to say I am an Xbox guy, but I love how PlayStation is handling this way more than Xbox. And the reason I say that, if you want the whole thingies, is because I love not knowing about something until it is like, okay, this feels safe to announce now, Now, Xbox, they had to announce all these projects. I get it. They needed everybody to know. Yeah. These are the things in the pipeline. We have a new console coming, so you need to hop onto this gen and get on Game Pass because this is the stuff coming. But in the meantime, here's stuff to play. I get it. But I also, it's something I do really like about Nintendo is like they announce a game and it's coming out within the year, and it's like what, and I think that's what PlayStation's kind of doing right now. Is they have these projects that could they have announced them earlier this year, maybe last year, yeah, but are they in a state that they feel safe about doing that? And there's a chance that it could be a scale bound situation. We don't want to risk that.
But the announcement situation is kind of different for PlayStation in that in the past, we've seen PlayStation announce games well ahead of time, like years. We're talking sometimes 3-4 years even. So this is kind of a departure from that. If we're expecting new announcements to come, like, I don't know. I don't know what they've got up their sleeve. Of course, they've got some games in the pipeline. We know that. I mean, they're a gaming company. They've got a bunch of developers underneath them that are working on games currently. So there's things there. But I don't know how long that they've actually been working on these titles, especially given the fact that they just released a bunch of games that they had to delay. We had COVID, all that. We don't know where they're at with their developers right now.
You know what's really interesting is that last showcase, a lot of people were underwhelmed from it, and they kept saying, I just did a video about this, so not to plug myself in, but go watch that video. But like, a lot of people watched their last showcase and went like, how come there was no first-party presence here? It was just Spider-Man 2. And then I'm like, there was 4 other first parties here, technically speaking. Technically speaking, there was 4 first parties here. And funny enough, it was basically all of their new peeps, other than Helldivers 2. That was a collab project. And it was all basically from all their new peeps that they've gotten. And I think that's why people were throwing a fit. And I talk about this in the video, but just basically, I think people recognize like the Santa Monica, the Sucker Punch and stuff like that. And we don't know what those studios are working on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that showcase was like a time staller to show this is what our new guys are working on, though. But what are the old guys working on?
If Sucker Punch,
they have to show that soon. They do, because right now all we know is Spider-Man 2, and that's it.
Yeah, if Sucker Punch was smart, they would be working on Ghost of Tsushima 2, because that's what I really want.
Oh, I can guarantee it.
I think I love Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of my favorite games. It's really cool. But here's the thing about Sony, though, as well. They may not have a lot of developers underneath it. Well, not as much as Xbox, but they've got quite a few.
They do now. Yeah.
They got quite a few. I think Sony, people were talking about this year and how this past year they didn't have much in the way of first party. And now we know that they're holding back through at least March from this financial report. If that's true, I say look out for Sony to really start announcing some big things next year, like some really big things. And I look for them also to be grasping onto more multi-plat deals as well, trying to get more exclusive games away from Game Pass, as they've been doing. I think we'll see more of that as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to fill in the gaps with the third-party deals as they always do. Again, ask any PlayStation fan, they'll tell you they still had a great year this year just because, Final Fantasy 16 and games like that, right? So that's what they do. They kind of set up next year for the same kind of scenario. I think, Fonz, you're spot on. I think next year we start to see Sony come out of its shell a little bit, especially if the Pro rumors are true. I think they're actually holding some of this game back for that Pro release, because if that's a reality, to have a full lineup including Wolverine and a Ghost of Tsushima 2 all touting the power of the PlayStation 5 Pro, again, if that's real, that would line up perfectly. Even if the Pro's not real, end of next year going into 2025, you'll start to see Sony ramping up again. They'll be ready to start talking, ready to start showing, and I think that's about the time I believe so too.
Now, before I get into this next topic, guys, I want to bring up this super chat here from God Emperor Sofa King. Thank you very much for the $2. He says, word on the street from Special Nick is Persona 6 Day 1 Xbox.
Yeah.
What have you heard about that, Pong? I haven't heard this.
I can kind of dive into this.
Go ahead.
It's I wouldn't say Day 1 on Xbox. It's more like Day 1 on everything. Because the reason people bring this up is Persona 5, their last Persona entry, was a PlayStation exclusive for the longest time. And it was even marketed as that too. So Which I guess I don't know why I brought that up because it was true, but but now Sega's going this direction of what if we made Persona everywhere? The Switch sells hotcakes. We have this great relationship with Xbox now, and we'll still release it on PlayStation. So now the big part of that was I saw somewhere that it's going to be a day one Game Pass launch. Now, if that happens, that'll be big because I don't believe that. No way. No. It's very possible though, because lately they've launched like 3 titles, but those are smaller.
Persona 6 is guaranteed sales, right? That's guaranteed.
That's guaranteed sales. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it would cost a lot of money. Not to say that Phil wouldn't drop the bag at Sega and Atlas, because they are great friends and partners in business. Yeah. But just having it there day one as just a launch, doesn't have to be on Game Pass, is still a gigantic move from where they were just a few years ago with Atlas and with the Persona game. So just Xbox will get a W out of this, even if Persona 6 isn't in Game Pass, but it's showing up day one available on Xbox. Still a big W, no matter what.
And I think they're building up to it too, because 2022 showcase, here's Persona 3 through 5 coming to Game Pass day one.
Correct.
And then this year's showcase, here's a new title from that team and the Persona 3 remake.
Correct.
I think that new title is coming to Game Pass day one. I'm not sure about that though.
I know the remake is Game Pass day one. It wasn't Game Pass day one. That was not confirmed. It was just announced on their stage.
But they're on this rhythm of like promoting the Persona franchise and that team to their users. So yeah, I buy that part of this credence 100%. But Game Pass, I don't know.
Anybody in the chat, Persona fans? I myself am not really a Persona fan. I tried to play Persona 5. I didn't like the context of. I didn't like the story.
Sure.
It was
just for everybody.
Too much for me. But as far as the gameplay, it's whatever. But I myself am not huge on Persona at all. Anyways, I got another super chat here real quick. I want to get through here. Mike Clark, thank you very much for the 2. He says, just saying hey and hope the family is doing well. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into the last topic of the day, and this just came out recently. It was just announced recently by THQ Nordic, and that, of course, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin, coming to current-gen consoles and PC. So, the game will star Michelangelo as the sole survivor of his mutant family. Armed with the weapons of his brothers, Michelangelo makes his way through a post-apocalyptic New York to finally bring an end to the Foot Clan. Does this sound interesting for you guys? Who's excited? I kind of am.
There's so much potential to this. Let me just say that. There's so much potential because, and this wasn't necessarily the project's announcement, actually, because this actually came out earlier this year, I think.
We kind of heard about this, but...
Yeah, like there was, we knew it was in development and stuff, but this was like our first the mainstream teaser, let's call it.
And it was just a little tiny teaser. I'm going to play it here. It was really small, but.
Yeah, and I'm going to watch this because I only saw like a glimpse of it too, but I was like, yeah, I know about this. But like the thing that's going to be cool about this, so I'm not a TMNT person. I just forgot the name already, but red bandana one.
Raphael?
Is that Raphael? Yeah,
yes.
Raphael. He is the most like angry of the bunch, and with the rest of his brothers being gone, this is an actual story, I guess, and like this is supposed to be an M-rated game, I think too. I thought I heard that, and if it's it's minimum T. I heard it's supposed to be gritty or whatever, but if it's rated M, and you're playing as Raphael, a man that's lost his brothers, so he doesn't have them to kind of keep him contained. And he's just fighting a bunch of badass ninja people, and it's rated M. Like, put aside like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like, oh, that's a cartoon. No, they could go really gritty with this, and that could be really freaking cool. I'd be stoked to see it. I don't know if like I'll play it, but I'll be very excited to see it.
In the 80s, I was a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles. Loved the Nintendo games and everything back in the day. Played the crap out of those games. I'm excited for this because, like you said, Pong, huge potential here, especially the fact that you're just maining one of the characters, Michelangelo. He's got all their weapons though, That sounds like a lot of fun, switching in between each weapon. And then, the storyline could be really cool. We get to see the way his brothers died or, whatnot.
Yeah.
Just some cool stuff can happen in this game. And they could take this game and make it look so good and so enjoyable. I can't wait. I'm excited.
The biggest interesting, I guess the most interesting thing to me is Black Forest Games is developing. And they did the remake of Destroy All Humans, and they were the original developers on Destroy All Humans 2. That's curious. That's a curious choice. I want to see what they do with this game, right? I want to see how they handle this, especially going from that to not just a regular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. No.
Hey, I want to see
dark and gritty one, right?
I want to say that Destroy All Humans, even though it was kind of bright and colorful and everything, it was a quality title. That game was a good game. Or
100%,
games, I should say.
Yeah, 100%. But obviously, totally different mechanics from playing as a turtle ninja, cutting, dicing, slicing people up, right? Which it sounds like that this is going to be lean heavily into the combat scenarios, and with that dark and gritty, kind of more adult themed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I'm all for it. I can't wait. Now we are 2 to 3 years out from this game, so this was pretty early on, but loved the short teaser that we got. Love the whole atmosphere that they're kind of giving us. That's why I love teasers. If anything, you get kind of the atmosphere that the team's going for. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what they do with it. It's just going to be, I'm curious how they're going to pull this off. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun.
Based off of a graphic novel.
Yes,
so
yes, that is correct.
Yes.
So
originally Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were comic books, and then, they gravitated into cartoons and video games and graphic novels and everything else. It's cool stuff. I never read The Last Ronin, so I don't know exactly how that all plays out, but gosh, in video game form, it sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds fun.
It does.
So I'm excited for this. Chat, are you excited for that game? Let me know. East Side Vandal says, yes, Ronin could be dope. Yes, I agree. It's gonna be really good. I'm sure. Black Force, like I said, their games, the Destroy All Human games, were good games, man. Really quality games. I had fun with those. And when they came out with like the remaster or something of Destroy All Humans, I played that for a while. It was really cool.
That's who did the remaster, was Black Forest.
Yeah.
So they did a nice job with it. The comedy in Destroy All Humans is great.
It's really good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, that is the end of the show. That is all the topics I have. Unless my guests have anything they want to say. I'm out of topics, guys. No, he's good.
I
good.
do.
Oh, you do? Go ahead.
I'm just worried about the things that it'll open, but
just go ahead. Go ahead. Let us know what's on your mind.
I saw a couple of people shouting it out in the chat earlier, but just basically, nutshell is the past week, for some reason, Halo Infinite keeps on trending, and I'm just going to explain why, and it's basically because it's had a good deal of positivity the past week.
Nice.
I would say,
let's end it on positive notes here.
The past year, because it feels like Infinite's one of those games that's fun to kind of jump on the hate train or whatever, for fair reasons.
It's ridiculous.
But the past week or two, and I had no idea. I'm not trying to plug myself in twice, but I made this video that's okay, let's actually think about all the content that's in the game today compared to when they launched. And I had no idea I was releasing that video at what would be the start of 10 days of positivity from the community. I had no idea that was going to happen. And even the community manager saw it, and I was like, oh shit. And just basically, just people are starting to jump in. I saw Gaz has jumped back in. He's like, oh man, this is so much fun. It's good to be back. And a lot of people are jumping back in and starting to enjoy Halo Infinite, because with the community made maps that they added to it, they're now basically at 40 plus maps. They have I think 14 plus playlists that people can jump around between. The Forge is really saving the game a lot, which 343 basically gave the community, here, we'll make stuff, but in the meantime, you just keep building the game with the tools that we gave you, kind of a thing. And there's a lot of rumors too that a lot of rumors emerged during this positivity that PvE is coming to Halo Infinite as well in the fall season, which is in October. So it's just been a week of positivity for Halo Infinite, and it's been a long time. Fans have felt that that's happened. So it's been nice.
You remember the whole cancel campaign, cancel Halo Infinite? I was part of that campaign as well at the beginning. I still maintain that they should have, but man, it would have had to be canceled for like 2 years or delayed, not canceled, delayed. It would have had to been delayed for 2 years. So to really get all this stuff fleshed out, but I'm glad that they're finally doing it. It's good to see some positivity in the community. That's good. And somebody in the chat, Sappho, I believe, said that the Stalker 2 date might have been leaked, and it might be December 1st of this year.
Correct.
So if this is true, that's another game to look pleasantly forward to. I can't wait to play Stalker 2. Now, I believe I'll still be playing some... you're talking, but I don't hear you, KBG. Oh,
I wasn't saying anything. There's just so much. There's so much.
Yeah, there's so much to play this year. Yeah, I know that this year has probably been one of the best years of gaming.
I believe that date, though. Yeah. I believe that date because they have it playable at Gamescom. I'm not saying I'm expecting that date, but it's going to be playable at Gamescom. They have it publicly. Everybody can just go in line and play the game for 15 minutes or whatever. And that's usually a good sign that the game's like within the year of being finished, kind of a thing. So
that's why Starfield's getting delayed. There's no demo. There's no demo. People. It's delayed.
No pressure on GSC Game World though. Whenever they get that game out, please, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Whenever it's ready, just release it then and do what you got to do. And Fonz said it good earlier though. Like however long your money allows. That was a good way to put it, Fonz. I think that was a good way to put it. And if they're out of money, unfortunately, then it's like, all right, this is all we could do.
You got to tighten up as much as you can, though, at that point. Like, do not. Yeah. I'm tired of games getting released broken and buggy, like really buggy, like game breaking bad. But
that's how content happens. That's what happened with Psychonauts 2. Xbox came in and they had a lot of content that they were going to cut, but Xbox was like, no, keep that stuff in. We're going to give you the time to polish it up and have everything you want in it.
I can't tell you
a
what
lot
a
of
good
devs
time.
have to cut content.
Yeah, I can't tell you what a good time I had with Psychonauts 2. That game was so good.
I love that game, dude.
That game was so freaking good. It was my game of the year that year.
Platformers like that on Xbox. I do.
And I'm not a big platformer guy, but that game had so much going for it and changed up so much mechanically during the game. And the visuals were great. The level design, everything was so cool in that game. Yeah. That's a video game. That's a video game. That's an amazing video game right there. Like Psychonauts 2 doesn't get enough credit, I don't believe. So
Psychonauts 2,
I agree.
100%. That whole team.
Thank you, Yodani Casada, for the $2 super chat. He says, "Much love to the community. Hit the like on the way out." Or thumbs up actually, but it's a like button. Anyways, with that said. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank KBG. KBG, let them know where they can find you and what you got going on your channel and everything. Let everybody know.
Guys, it's been great to meet not just Pong and Fonz having a good talk, but also you guys in the chat, Safaway too, Mr. Seven. Guys, thank you very much for swinging by. It was great meeting you. I've been kind of tuning into the chat, adding some of you. I would just love to talk games. I love to speculate games, especially. I've realized that the past year, speculating games, past, present, and future is some of the best times to be had. And if you'd like to do more of that, then feel free to you could just Google search Samurai KBG. I especially use Twitter, but I'm on YouTube. I got an anime channel, West Side Otaku. West Side Otaku. And this week I might have to take a little break from content because I'm going to be really busy work-wise, but I'm going to do a live stream Wednesday morning to speculate Gamescom coming up. So looking forward to talking about Gamescom, what could be there with you guys Wednesday morning, and then reacting to it next Tuesday. It's Gamescom coming up. But thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Pong Soul, let everybody know about the 1 million podcasts you're on and what you got going on yourself. Now, last time you were here, you did mention something about making your own channel, doing your own thing.
Yeah,
what's going on there?
Getting there. Yeah, I'm going to be streaming Starfield for sure. Probably a lot on Living Split Screen, me and, Steel and I's channel. But I plan on doing my own channel too, plan on getting into shorts and doing some videos and that kind of stuff too, working on that in the background. Real life is what it is right now, so it's heavy and I got a lot going on, but I'm getting there. Obviously, that's why I got the PC, so we're going to get there, folks. But no, it was a pleasure. Always an honor to be here, Fonz. Thank you for the invite. And KBG, it was awesome to talk with you again. I think we did do one show together on
I was
Go
thinking
Live.
that too. I was like, I started to recognize him as the show goes on. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did do one, but no, it was fantastic to be here with both of you brothers. Chat, you guys were absolutely incredible. Always bringing the energy, always supporting. Nothing but love and respect to each and every single one of you. Listen, you guys know the drill. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Thursday nights, it's PM in the PM Pong and Mav in the PM over on Fun Speculations Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Back on Fun Speculation again on Friday nights for Xbox Ultimate, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen, all one word. My brother from another Steel Rain and I, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. We went 4.5 yesterday. Be there. We'll take you into the afternoon. And then Saturday night's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. PTK Blam, Fuzzy, and myself every Saturday night, and usually a guest, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Otherwise, everybody, it's the golden age of gaming. It really, really is. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks again, Fonz.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. It's good to have you. Great outro. And with that said, guys, I want to thank everybody for being here live on the show. If you have not been to the live show, I implore you to come by YouTube here at Fonz Gaming. Check it out. If you're listening, on streaming platforms out there, I thank you as well. Until next time, game on.